Hey everyone, I want to chat just for a moment about ChatGPT, kind of a hot topic right now. I may be a little late to the game, but let's see what we can learn today. So first of all, I've been playing around with ChatGPT. I absolutely love it. It went down the other day and I wasn't freaking out, but I was like, oh my God, I wish I could just pay for this so that I wouldn't have to worry about this being down because it's super useful. But it's a context building tool. It's not an execution tool. If you ask it to do something real at work, it will fail spectacularly. So if you say something like, we need a microservice that connects to this thing and it has these features for this product, it will just fail. Like there's no way. It cannot even come close to doing that. People are freaking out because it can write code, but I mean, all kinds of things can write code. And it's great that it does because, we are able to onboard information into our brain so much faster because of tools like ChatGPT. So it is purely a context tool. Maybe one day we will have an execution tool, and I actually look forward to that because I just really want to build a lot of awesome stuff. And if I can basically get an army of juniors for free, then I would be thrilled to have that. And the cool thing is people who, are currently juniors can also learn these tools and they can level up into seniors very quickly. So I think this is very exciting. So I'll just give you a quick example here. I've been thinking about making a video game. Now, I don't have the time to do this, but I think it'd be really cool. And essentially what I want to ask it to do is to create a 2.5D isometric multiplayer mobile sailing video game where the user can control the sail angle and the rudder angle. There are wind and current vector fields. The world is our real world with fine detail. Ports are real ports, and the ship continues to sail even when the phone is off. And I bet you know what's going to happen. So essentially what it's done here is, well, it hasn't actually executed on anything that we asked it to do. And, people are going to watch this and say, that's obvious. Well, it's apparently not obvious to a lot of people because people are worried about this thing taking their jobs. It's not going to take your job. What this has done is it has essentially acted as a glorified rubber duck. And I would love to have an AI rubber duck. And that's what we have now. We have an AI rubber duck and it's amazing. So essentially what it's done is it's fed back to me the things that I've said, but it's also added some new context. It's found like little gaps in the phrases that I wrote, things that I may have forgotten, things that I may find of interest. And it provides those to me. And it does it in a way that is very natural and human-like. And so that's really awesome. What it's done is it's built more context for my brain so that I can start pulling on these threads. Like I never even considered that this could be a racing game, but that could be like a part of the game. Regatta, like long-term regattas, round-the-world regattas, those kinds of things could be part of the game. And it's just something I never considered. Now, would this come out in user testing? Probably, but it also kind of helps me build that context and flesh out like the world that this could be. It expands on these ideas. Now, I want to talk about really quickly about what things it is really good at. And those are things that you might spend time doing research on before selection. So for example, what's a video game platform that can build 2.5D video games on iOS, Android, Nintendo Switch? These are very requirements based. And then for me, it uses a C-like programming language because that's kind of what I'm familiar with. So essentially what this has done is it has performed selection for me. It's not executing, but it's performed selection. And selection is a big part of engineering. So I feel comfortable just using its response here because I don't know a lot about game programming, but I know enough that if I select Unity, essentially the sky's the limit, right? So this has already helped me out a lot, okay? And I've used this in projects where I didn't know really anything about it. I asked it a question, it did selection, I went and did my own research, and I came to the same conclusions. So this is really helpful because one of the things that takes engineers the longest time is just doing selection, getting caught up in all the different options. And if this can hone you down from this cloud of uncertainty and hone you down into a single option in like 10 seconds, I mean, that's a huge time saver. But again, not an execution tool. So we're going to try another one, which I think will be kind of interesting. So I had this idea of using vector fields to handle wind, right? Because wind is not this uniform thing. It's treated as uniform in video games, but when you're actually sailing in the real world, wind bends around islands. It funnels around islands. There are patches of high wind that move across a surface. And all of these things are things that you are constantly dealing with while you're sailing, and bringing that experience into a video game is something that I feel would be novel, especially, for like a 2.5D like fun video game. So, but I have never even thought about what algorithms or how you go ahead building those vector fields. So we're going to try and see what ChatGPT has to say about what algorithms can be used to create realistic wind vector fields. So unfortunately, the answer it gave me appears to have more to do with, creating like a weather report, not so much like the actual creating an actual like local, very fine, realistic weather patterns. But it has given me some things that I can look into, some things I can learn. Maybe this will influence another part of the game. Maybe this will influence macro wind cycles as opposed to micro wind cycles. But I just want to really express that this thing is amazing for building context, and what it does is absolutely revolutionary. And if they take it away from public view, I will be very kind of sad, because I actually use it a lot and it's been very helpful. But it's not going to replace you at work. Maybe one day it will start replacing people at work, but for now, it's just a really cool thing that is actually, I don't want to say that it's changed the way I work, but the other day I was trying to do something very simple, which was do like a linear regression on some very basic data. And I would have gone into ChatGPT and said, listen, I've got like this point and this point. What's the best fit line? And it would just tell me. And so what I ended up having to do was go look for a linear regression calculator and punch them in myself. And it was just a lot faster to do that with ChatGPT. So for stuff like that, it's just like amazing, and it saves me a ton of time. But no, don't worry about it taking your job. So thank you very much for listening, and we will see you soon. Peace.